As the Electoral Commission prepares to hold the country's 7th elections in the democratic era, the Commission is expected to have its work cut out for it. In October, the Electoral Commission launched the 2024 national and provincial elections program, declaring that it is ready to host millions of eligible voters at over 23,000 voting stations across the country. IEC Chief Electoral Officer Sai Mamabolo explained the rationale underpinning the Electoral Commission's theme for the 2024 elections.
Let us not forget that NPE 2024 carries a profound historical significance. In 2024, South Africa marks an extraordinary milestone, 30 years of electoral democracy, a testament to the strength and resilience of our nation. Our national credentials as an electoral democracy are fortified with each ensuing election. Surely, 2024 will be no exception. Equally historic is the dawn of a new era in our electoral politics, where where independent candidates can contest for seats in our national and provincial legislatures. A reality set in motion by the Electoral Amendment Act, which was signed into law in April of this year.
For the first time in the country's history, independent candidates will be able to contest for seats in the national and provincial elections. The manner in which this participation will take place was the subject of litigation. The Independent Candidates Association of South Africa pushed the Constitutional Court, asserting that the 50-50 split of the National Assembly, which only allows independents to contest for 200 seats, while political parties contest for 400 seats, devalues the vote for the independent. The Apex Court, however, was unconvinced. The Constitutional Court, however, ruled that independents need just 1,000 signatures to contest in the elections. Build One South Africa and the Friends of the Court, Rivonia Circle, brought the matter before the court.
The second judgment accordingly orders as an interim remedy a striking out in the impugned provision of the 15% quota and in its place a reading in of 1,000 signatures. It does so on the basis that while there's never been a contestation requirement in place, 1,000 signatures represents at the very least a de facto contestation requirement.
The court's judgments require the IEC to make the necessary adjustments. The new signature requirements will undoubtedly allow many more participants to contest the polls. With regards to political parties, just under 600 are registered with the IEC, 360 of which are eligible to run in the national elections.
There will be regions and provinces in which we will not be able to print a ballot in that configuration, where parties follow each other sequentially on the ballot paper. We're going to have a ballot set up in 2 columns. So first column and the second column. And if the number of contestants is so much, we may end up not with a ballot paper, but with a ballot booklet on multiple columns. So in those circumstances, voters may end up being confused and making wrong marks.
The Commission is also committed to communicating with voters whose voting districts and stations may have changed because of its review, together with provincial party liaison committees of municipal and voting district boundaries. The review was last conducted in 1999 and 2024 will see an increase in voting stations. Meanwhile, election observers at next year's polls will be crucial in ensuring that the bar is set high in terms of election observation. Defend Our Democracy movement has mobilized civil society to do its bit in this regard.
In terms of laxity previously, I think one area that we've noted from election observation work previously is that election observers are given a book to tick off. Did the voting station open on time? Were ballot boxes closed at the end of the day and sealed? And that information is collated a month later after the elections and sent to the IEC really for reviewing the next election. What's the different factor in this particular campaign is that where there is internet connectivity, it's almost immediate. And where there isn't internet connectivity, at least within the next few hours, if you can get back to your civil society office or you can go to a public library where there may be Wi-Fi, for instance, you are able to feed that information in almost immediately.
The Human Sciences research on South Africa's electoral democracy has pointed to the most negative mood ahead of the elections in the country to date, with an increasingly dissatisfaction of South Africans with the functioning of electoral democracy. Figures show that 57% of South Africans have expressed discontent with democracy compared to 28% who are satisfied. The youth are no exception. Despite this, the HSRC research says there's hope.
There are two silver linings here. The first is that there is a persistent belief in the importance of voting amongst many youth in our country. Remember, we said close to 60% of our sample said, I do believe that we should vote, but I will not vote anyway. And it's the reasons we just cited across our study right now. And yeah, a sizable minority, they still believe it is the duty of us to vote. So the youth want to vote, but they are dissatisfied by various reasons when it comes to democracy and our governance.
The IEC has set a target of hosting 80,000 community events aimed at getting South Africans to the ballot to cast their votes, with approximately 2,500 field workers involved in outreach and education. The second and last voter registration weekend is scheduled for the 3rd and the 4th of February 2024. Though President Cyril Ramaphosa has not set a date for next year's polls yet, the country must have an election within 90 days of the expiry of the legislature's terms. Therefore, an election is possible between May and the middle of August 2024. Natasha Piri, SABC News, Johannesburg.